Should friends give each other unsolicited advice?
Instead of providing that unsolicited advice, to instead ask them, how can I support you? Do you want advice or do you just want me to listen and for you to vent?
I'm not gonna lie, I gave a friend unsolicited advice. She was getting divorced from her husband and started dating a new guy that, in my opinion, was not a quality guy. And I tried to tell her that I didn't think he was a quality guy for X, Y, and Z reasons. And it really put a strain in our relationship because she didn't want to hear that he wasn't a quality guy. She was like happy living her best life, getting over her divorce. And it really strained our friendship significantly. Like, I don't think we ever recovered from that unsolicited advice.
So do you regret having done that or you'd do it again?
Again, I think my delivery probably wasn't great. It was a very close friend of mine that we've been friends since we were little girls. And I kind of was just like, are you insane? You left your husband for I think I was a little bit rough in my delivery. And I think if I maybe would have handled it differently and it would have gone over better. I think I came off very judgmental. Guys, I'm not perfect. Spent a lot of time on reality TV.
Welcome to Scrubs and Stilettos, episode 2. Today, we have a very special guest with us, and we are talking about the topic of friendships, adult friendships to be specific. Have you made new friends as an adult? Have you had some friends you've had to let go of? Do you have some toxic friends? We are going to be discussing all that and more.
And I am very excited to introduce our special guest. We have Dr. Christy Ferrari with us. She is a Johns Hopkins trained clinical psychologist with expertise in treating anxiety, mood, behavioral, and sleep disturbances across all age groups. But more recently, she has been coaching and helping her clients develop boundaries, self-confidence, establish stable and balanced relationships, and overall just help with their self-esteem. She's had her insights published in the Wall Street Journal, Pop Sugar, NBC News. She's an expert panelist and a wonderful speaker, and we are very excited to talk to her. Christy, why don't you tell our followers a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Christy Ferrari, also known as Dr. C, and I'm going to help you make friends, navigate parenting, and help you set boundaries.
Christy, you were born and raised in Miami, right?
Yes, I'm a Miami girl, but I've also lived in Baltimore when I was doing my residency, and I've also lived in New York City.
And in case you guys missed it, we've got the Miami skyline back there because we brought Tiffany down from Dallas for a couple episodes. So we are very excited to be coming to you live from South Florida. Well, Christy, I think we're going to get started because we want to make the most out of our time. We're going to start off with some rapid fire questions where we're going to ask you something. We're going to chime in on what we think is the right answer, and then you're going to tell us if we're right or wrong.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Do you ever think, Tiff, that it is okay to ghost a friend?
No.
Really? Never?
I always like to have the ball in the other person's court, and I'm a big person on closure. It's kind of why I went into anesthesia. At the end of the day, you kind of know how you did. There's not an open question.
I can see that.
So I never ghost anyone, but I will tell them, I'm unavailable. My schedule is very busy. Please don't expect to hear much from me within the next few ever. So that's my version of ghosting, but I do try to give them some hint that I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
I don't think ghosting is the most mature response. But I do think some people deserve a good ghosting. And if you are draining my energy, if it's a toxic relationship, sometimes communication's just not the best way. You just got to cut it clean. But that's my take on it.
What's the correct answer?
Tiffany's on the money.
Oh!
Let's give them some closure. It's immature, right? To ghost someone. It shows that you can't, have these difficult conversations and you're avoiding some tough emotions. But at least keep it brief, as you said, but give them some closure. But.
Okay. Tiff 1, Nikki 0.
Okay. We'll have one of those
scoreboards.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Okay. Next question. Can men and women really be just friends? Nikki?
I think they can. However, I have not had very good luck with this. I would say I've probably had a handful of guy friends that have stayed in the friend zone. Because inevitably, there's that one night where you go out and you've had too much to drink, and then all of a sudden they're trying to kiss you, or they're like, oh, you look so pretty. And I just think that it's It's hard. I haven't had much success in that space, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yes, I think with the right people in the right setup, it could be possible. But you know what? Somebody always ends up catching feelings and then the friendship goes kaput. And so I'm going to say no. And I myself like to stick to girls and gays.
I agree with you. I think it is possible, but if one of them has any ounce of some type of a physical attraction towards you, it's impossible to be friends with them. And it's really hard to know if they really do, because they may say they don't, but deep down inside, even if they don't acknowledge it. So I say no.
And it's tricky, right? Because if that guy like does have secret feelings that you don't know about and you think he's your friend and you're going to him to talk about boy stuff or guy troubles, are you getting like a real friend's reaction, or deep down inside is he like, break up with this guy because I want to try to date you?
Exactly.
It gets messy.
Yeah.
Very messy. It happened to me in medical school. And after that, I was just like, I'm not going to try to be friends with guys anymore, because I had a boyfriend. He was my study buddy. We hung out. We had dinner. We studied. And then me and my boyfriend broke up, and he sort of went in for the, like, what about
kill?
me? And I was like, but we're friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, but you're single now. And I'm like, but I don't see you that way. And he was pissed.
Then it gets awkward and then it's over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how many best friends are too many? Like, can you have too many best friends?
I mean, I don't think you can have too many, but as our busy schedules allow, like, how many people can you reliably keep in touch with who actually know what's going on in your life? I would say not more than one hand, and that's plenty.
Yeah, I think quality over quantity all the time. And I
For
just don't have the
sure.
emotional bandwidth or the time to feed that many friendships.
Yeah.
But you know, you always meet those people that are like, my best friend and my best friend and my best friend. And you're like, geez, how many best friends you got?
Yeah,
They call everybody their best friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's like that new term. It's like, hey, bestie. And it's like, I just met you. You're not my bestie. Maybe we're just too old and we don't know the lingo.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a number?
100%. 5. You cannot have more than 5 besties. So
cool.
you were on the money with the one hand. You can have 10 to 15 meaningful friendships, but in terms of like really close, in-depth friendships, 5.
Sounds about right.
What did Mel Robbins say in her new book? That you need to spend, okay, I'm going to butcher this, like 2,000 hours with someone before they become in your like close circle. That's why so many of our friends are from school, college, or medical school, or residency, because those are the people that we spent the most time with. And I think now as an adult, like one of the reasons it's hard to make new besties is because I simply don't have time to be hanging out with you back when like we were in high school and kicking it, you know?
Well, yeah, because I think trust is an important part of friendship, and trust takes time to build. And
Exactly.
when you get old, you just don't have that much
Don't got time and don't got trust.
don't-
Been burned too much.
Exactly. All right.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. Is it okay to cut off a toxic friend that drains your energy, even if they've done nothing wrong? Nikki?
I mean, this is my take on all relationships, friendships, and romantic. I think relationships have ebbs and flows, and there are times where you're going to be the needier friend. You're going through a breakup, you lost your job, whatever that is, and you're going to be the annoying friend that like is draining people's energy because you need someone to lean on. And then the tables are going to turn, and you're going to be thriving, and your friend is going to be struggling, and you're going to have to be there for them. So I think there is a little bit of like this push and pull dynamic that we have to kind of like just come to accept in a friendship. But if you feel like the relationship is always like heavy on one side, then maybe it's time to let go of that friend, but not by ghosting them. I learned.
Yeah, I mean, I had a work friend, more of a colleague, and she was just a chronic complainer. I mean, every day sucked, and it wasn't like the truly sucked. It was, this isn't right, or this isn't right, or the surgeon's not nice, or
This
my
case isn't
resident
what-
sucks, and I don't like the patient, blah, blah, blah. And it was just chronic complaining. And so I didn't like break up with her as a friend, but I would like slowly distance myself from her. Like if I walked into the break room and she was getting a cup of coffee, I'd be like, oh, they're paging me, you know? Yeah.
Both of you are on the money. 100%. I think the main thing that you guys need to keep in mind is it's mutually supportive. So yes, you're going to have ebbs and flows in relationships, but if it's always one-sided, you're always the giver, you're always the one supporting the friendship, well then it's not mutually supportive. And then at that point, yes, have a conversation, set that boundary, but if not, go away.
Yep. Do you think it is possible to be too honest in a friendship?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're already like dressed to go out and your friend is like, "Do you like this dress?" and you hate it, there's not a possibility that she can change at this point. Like you already in the Uber headed to the restaurant. So just be like, "It's not my favorite thing you've ever worn, but I think it's fine." Like it's a little fib. Because to be brutally honest, but then there's nothing they can do right then, it's just gonna hurt their feelings. So I think like little fibs when it doesn't really matter is fine. But in terms of like big picture things like marriage, or if they, catch your husband on a dating app or something like that, like big things, like those need to be said no matter what. But like little white lies are okay.
I think friends are there to be brutally honest, right? Like for better or for worse. Like if I do something that upsets a friend, I want a friend to tell me. If like something's wrong in a relationship, I want my friends to tell me. So I agree. I think, don't be hurtful if there's nothing that can be done, something silly like an outfit. But when it comes to big life matters, I want my friends to be brutally honest.
It's all about the delivery, right? So is it meant to hurt your feelings, or it's not in a constructive way? So it needs to be constructive and it needs to be respectful and help you grow. Is it unsolicited advice? Is it not going to help them? So that's the main thing to keep in mind. So no, it's not impossible to be like too honest, but it's all about the delivery.
And the intentions.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people will tell you something like it's for good intentions, but it's also like a backhanded compliment, like a backhanded insult, or like one of these things,
There might be a friend group I think of that does stuff like that.
There are. There's always those people that claim to be friends, but then they're always kind of doing this little like snarky comments that you're like, I think that was an insult.
Yeah. Yeah. Christy, you mentioned unsolicited advice. Should friends give each other unsolicited advice?
Depends if the friend wants it or not. So every friendship is going to be different, right? So you can't say that everyone's going to agree, but it's more about asking the person instead of providing that unsolicited advice to instead ask them, how can I support you? Do you want advice, or do you just want me to listen and for you to vent? I think that's the better outcome of what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I gave a friend unsolicited advice. She was getting divorced from her husband and started dating a new guy that, in my opinion, was not a quality guy. And I tried to tell her that I didn't think he was a quality guy for X, Y, and Z reasons. And it really put a strain in our relationship because she didn't want to hear that he wasn't a quality guy. She was like happy living her best life, getting over her divorce. And it really strained our friendship significantly. Like, I don't think we ever recovered from that unsolicited advice.
So do you regret having done that, or you'd do it again?
I think my delivery probably wasn't great. It was a very close friend of mine that we've been friends since we were little girls. And I kind of was just like, are you insane? You left your husband for I think I was a little bit like rough in my delivery. And I think if I maybe would have handled it differently and like it would have gone over better. I think I came off very judgmental. Guys, I'm not perfect. Spent a lot of time on reality TV. So I don't think I handled it well. My delivery wasn't good, but I think, yes, you have to tread carefully in that unsolicited advice category.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll straight up be like, hey, can I give you some unsolicited advice? And if they're like, no, shut up, I'll be like, okay. Or if they're like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, so take this with a grain of salt, but I noticed that this and this and this, and I'm just looking out for you and want your best interest or whatever. And then they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like whatevs.
I think that's great because as a good friend wants to give honest feedback. Yeah. You want them to grow, but it's just all the way that it's said.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like that's like the crux of everything is like how you say it.
I'm not gonna lie. I can take a couple of private courses, Christy, from you on how to deliver news because Anthony says that I'm very abrasive in my delivery.
Oh,
Apparently.
excuse me. Well, we have Christy here now. Maybe, there's this girl called like corporate something, and you say something like pissy to your boss, like, no, I will not be finishing that assignment because you gave me too much else to do.
Or you gave me
And
too
then-
short notice.
Yeah.
And she tells you.
And she tells it in like the corporate
talk.
way.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that sounded like so professional, and I'm not going to get called to HR or anything. So let's ask Christy to, when we say things to our friends, like, I don't approve of your new relationship. I think the guy's a loser. How should we say that instead?
How should you say that your guy is a loser?
Not my guy, her guy.
The friend's
Third
guy,
speak,
right?
you
How
know?
should we deliver that insight
Yes.
with, a little bit of niceness?
Of course. So one, it's to maybe open up that conversation and ask her of, can I provide some feedback or some advice? Because if she doesn't want it, then we need to just keep it to herself, right? So going back to what Tiffany said, and then now you just want to say that you don't approve of him. So you want to give some like tangible reasons why you don't like him, because if not, they're going to come off feeling judged. So if you're able to find specific reasons why he might not be the best guy, then that's going to soften it. Like if he were, I'm trying to think, if he's controlling, there has to be something specifically for you to go after, because otherwise it's just going to be like,
I don't like him.
Exactly. I don't like him. I'm judging him. So find the specifics about what it is. Then it's when, you could say when, and then describe the situation, whatever it's happening. And then you need to say, you fill in the blank of like X. So if he's controlling, for instance, like when I invite you to go out to hang out with me and it doesn't happen, it makes me feel like our relationship is different. You need to just find exactly, I need a specific about what exactly is going on, because it's too vague, it's too hard. But that's the number one thing, is you need to find the specifics about what is going on in that relationship, about why you don't like him. Can you like divulge? So I can maybe go into a specific, or we don't want to pinpoint this person and identify them.
I don't want to say the specifics because then when my best friend watches
She's
it,
gonna know.
she's gonna be
know.
like,
Okay.
you told everybody my dirty laundry.
Maybe we'll talk about it off camera.
I don't need to ruffle any more feathers in that friendship. Okay, here's another personal experience that you could help me handle. So I have a girlfriend that feels like only calls when they need something.
Oh,
like,
girl.
They hear through the grapevine that we are hosting a trip somewhere. And then like a couple weeks before the trip, they start coming out of the woodworks. Or there's like a party that we're hosting and then all of a sudden like starts texting. It always seems very temporally related to an event or something that we are doing. But then it'll be something as simple as like their kid's birthday. And then they invite all of the friends in the group, but then don't invite like my son to the birthday. So it's very like particular.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, am I being sensitive or should I say something? And how do I say something without seeming?
Of course. So I don't think you're being sensitive at all, because you don't want to be dismissing your feelings, right? So whenever someone says you're sensitive, they're dismissing your feelings, and your feelings are valid. So in this context, they only reach out to you when they want something, but then when it's on their side, they never invite you?
Right.
Okay. So, yeah.
It's weird.
Exactly.
How do you say so? Like,
of course.
Hey, why didn't you invite me to your kid's party? That seems...
It's hard to say that, right?
It seems weird.
It's more...
Petty. Yeah. Do you want to go to her
Yeah.
kid's party?
What's the goal?
I don't want to go to the kid's party. I never want to go to kids' parties, FYI.
Good to know.
But I want to be like, I want to have the choice to go to the kid's party. Like,
Right.
Why is it that like you only want to hang out when it's convenient for you, and then you invite other people in our friend group to the party? But like,
of course,
is my kid, I have a nice kid. Like, why isn't my kid and I invited to the party? Of course, it's just weird.
It's not a mutual,
and it doesn't feel nice.
No, of course not, because it's only as long as you include her, but she's not going to include you. So in that scenario, I'd probably say like, when I happen to be inviting parties, I invite you, and it makes me question our friendship if I'm also not invited by the other person. So like essentially you just want to make sure that you're leveling that relationship and making it mutually supportive, because it's a one-sided transactional relationship for that person. She's using you. And she wants to get something out of you, but she doesn't want to give it to you. So that's not a friend.
Yeah.
Does she text you and be like, hey, I heard you're hosting a party coming up. Like, I guess my invite got lost in the mail. Like, what is she texting
No,
you?
but it's just like the feelers. Like, like little feelers are going out. And then it'll be like, well, what are you doing next weekend?
Oh, and then what do you
She
say?
just wants to know.
And then I'm like, I'm not a liar. Like, I'm going to be posting on social media and other friends are going to be there. So then I'll be like, oh, well, we're hosting something at the house. Like,
and what does she say when you say that?
You're welcome to come.
Oh, you do invite
I mean,
her.
I feel weird. Like,
and then does she come?
Sometimes.
Oh.
But then she won't invite you.
But then the invitation isn't reciprocated.
I mean.
And I'm just, by nature, I'm not like a confrontational person. So it's very hard for me to have these conversations, you know? But then I feel like, you become resentful and then.
And you can blame the way that we're all like socially conditioned and socialized. Women are not taught to be confrontational. We're taught to like keep the peace, to be likable.
Yeah, to be yes people.
Exactly. Yeah. But being passive aggressive is socially acceptable. So that's why people become that, because it's that subtle way. It's like that coping mechanism to like let out what you're feeling in a socially acceptable way of like whatever frustration.
I hate passive aggressiveness.
I say just do the same thing to her when you find out she's having a party.
Or keeping it intimate.
Just text her and be like, hey, what are you doing next Saturday? And she's like, oh, my son's turning 6. Like, do you want to come? You're like, oh, I can't. That day I have plans.
That's passive aggressive. Just be passive aggressive. So I'm not going to recommend saying that, but I think definitely if it's something that bothers you,
it's worth saying
something. If you don't care about that friendship, then just like let it go. But if it does bother you, say something.
But that would bother anybody, right?
Yes.
Like, of course it would.
Okay. Yeah, because it's very one-sided and it's like not
sometimes
tit for
I
tat.
ask Anthony and he's like, who cares?
Right.
He's like,
because he's
did you want to go to that stupid
yes.
party anyways? He's like, you wouldn't have gone anyways. And I'm like, that's not the
it's
point.
The principle.
Yeah.
It's the principle.
No, I agree.
It needs to be mutually supportive. And if it's only one way, it's not.
It's not. Yeah. Okay. Since we're kind of on the topic, I know we were supposed to be talking about adult friendships, but my twin girls are 10 and they are getting to the point where they are getting invited to certain birthday parties or sleepovers. And apparently one of the families took a bunch of girls on their private jet to a long vacation in another state. And my kids were not invited. So how do you deal with exclusion in your children? Because my children came home and they were upset that they had not gotten invited to this extended party. One time, one of them got invited to a birthday, but the other didn't. But they're the only twin girls in their entire grade, and the school is small. Their class is less than 100 people, right? So there's like 86 kids, half of whom are boys. So there's like 40-something. It's not a huge thing, you know? And one of the girls had a sleepover, and she invited one twin and didn't invite the other twin. And so then I was like, oh, don't worry, baby. Like, mommy's going to take you to Sephora, and we're going to have dinner, just mommy and me. I took it as an opportunity to have time, because it's also hard for me to have one-on-one time with them because they're always together. But how do you deal with your kids being excluded?
So it's unfortunate, right? And we're going to see someone being excluded at some point when it comes to school. And whenever there's any like some type of like, going to have mean girls in every single grade. And I don't want to say that the girls that didn't invite her were mean. Maybe they really only had like a certain amount of people, but it's just tough. It's in a very tough position because you guys have twins. So is your daughter friends with the girl that didn't invite her, or not really?
Not really, but yes, because
it helps. It helps to know like how close they are. Because if they're not close, then you can say, well, what are your daughter's names?
Chloe and Maddie.
Okay, so which one was invited? Which one
Chloe
wasn't?
was invited and Maddie was not.
So if Chloe hangs out with her all the time, then you could say, well, this is Chloe's best friend. Chloe invited her best friend.
It wasn't
like that.
Yeah. And it just felt like Maddie just felt very like, oh, why wasn't I? You know, she just felt, and I didn't know what to say.
The worst, right?
I know.
As a mom,
mother,
it breaks your heart
because your child's hurt.
And I was like, don't worry. I was like, we're going to have much more fun than they are. Like I tried to overcompensate for it as a mother, you know, but I didn't know what to say.
Of course, definitely like what you were going after of like, let's go make a better plan. Is definitely a great idea. So you want to distract them. You don't want them to be seeing anything on social media if they're in the time where they are posting about it. So like not letting them see it and go do something just as great, if not better. It's hard to top, you know, going on like on a vacation somewhere else, but you were meaning well and you're going in the right direction. You know, unfortunately in life, you know, we're going to be not invited to everything, but when it comes to like situations like that, you can just sit with her and let her tell you how she feels instead of you telling her how she should feel, and just like kind of be there with her. So get at her level and just ask her like, how are you feeling and how can you support her? So sometimes if you just put it in that scenario, it's a lot more helpful than you feeling like you need to save the day as the parent.
Like just validate
Yeah,
your
just
feelings.
validate. Let her like talk about it. Know that you're there for her. You're sitting with her and she's getting it out. Then obviously go do something fabulous with her. And then when it comes to the parent, you could reach out to the parent if you wanted to, like, oh, you know, do you feel comfortable with this mom talking to her at all or not really?
I mean, I don't know her.
You don't know her.
Yeah. I mean, we're friendly if we see
Of
each
course.
other, but like I don't ever call her to chat with her. So
And that mom to mom, like
Yeah.
constructive
Yeah.
criticism, that don't go over well
yeah.
all the time. You know, like if you call, some moms are not
Of
as
course.
open or receptive because, you know, sometimes there's like a little argument in school and you try to reach out to the other mom to figure out what happened. And some people get very defensive. I feel like when it comes to kids and moms, you have to tread very carefully because there's that like mama bear instinct and people get very defensive.
Yes.
100%. And you definitely want to avoid blaming in anything because then they're going to feel defensive and then that's going to set it off. And never, if you're confronting, say, another mom or having a conversation, don't do it via text message because then that becomes screenshotted and sent to other people.
Oh,
so like
Lord.
have these conversations over the phone or in person.
Yeah, I'm conflict averse, so like I would never call another mom and be like, "Hey, why didn't you invite the other?" Like I would never.
No,
it's not in my blood.
I can't even call one of my good friends and ask why they didn't invite us to the kids' party. Never mind a mom I barely know.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
Yeah.
Random question though: if they would have gotten invited to the PJ vacation, you weren't going to let your let
did
me
you let
ask,
your other
would
one?
you have let the girls go on a vacation?
Girls and their moms were invited.
Oh,
so the moms
okay.
went.
Okay.
So their PJ I think fits maybe 16-ish. So it was a group of like 8 girls and 8 moms or something like that.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So we didn't go. Oh well. Yeah.
Yeah. So neither went.
It's okay.
Neither went to that.
Neither went.
But
You can
then
come
a
with me.
different birthday party, one got invited and one. It's just hard right now. And I feel like it's gonna get worse because right now they're 10 and they don't have social media.
Of course.
But you know, when they're 13, which is supposedly the age that the parents have agreed at my school to give their kids a cell phone, then they're gonna have social media and all those FOMO feelings are gonna come and it's gonna be a whole new thing. Like I am not ready to be a
ready for that.
teenage
Oh,
parent.
no way.
I know. In a
We're
way,
gonna have a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back.
Yeah, to deal with teen behaviors.
And I'll have all the responses you need. But in terms of like, you could have used that also as a boundary of like, you know, when there's birthday parties, I have to have both of the girls included. Thank you for having me. And then that in a way is sending out the message that tells her
smart.
that tells her like
Yeah.
either they're both included or they're not going.
Yeah.
So
Then
and
the
you're not
one
attacking
that's
her. There's no
usually
you.
gets invited is pissed. 'Cause she's like, why can't I go?
Did Chloe go?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Oh.
she's like in the popular group and like the other one isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then she because I was like,
Yeah, you
let's
didn't
just
want
both
to
not go.
penalize her.
Of course.
And then she's like, wait, why can't I go just because my sister didn't, you know? And then
know.
I'm like,
It's
oh my
hard.
God.
Hard.
I'm going to rip. I was like, mommy needs wine.
This is like one of those values.
And my husband
It
does
is.
nothing. Like he's not even in this conversation. He's like in the other room, like watching football or something. And I'm just like, a little help here. And he's like, I'm going to let you take this one,
Of
you
course,
know?
because it's hard.
Yeah. So then mommy had to have wine.
No, I get it.
It's a hard conversation. You don't want to punish one, but then you also want them to be like good siblings for one another and supportive. So it's tough. You have to understand like where your values are, what's important to you guys, and what you're okay with.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different for everybody.
All right, well, we got a little sidetracked here
Yeah,
talking about motherhood,
back
which
to adult relationships.
we could talk about forever, but back to friendships and adult relationships.
Yes.
In your opinion, Christy, what do you think makes a good friendship or a good friend?
Of course. So I want you to ask yourself the next time you're hanging out with a friend, how do you feel after you've hung out with them? You want to feel like energized. You want to feel emotionally lighter. You want to feel at peace. You do not want to feel emotionally or physically drained. One thing is if they just had a death in a family or they just broke up with someone, because it's different because you need to be there for them and that might be exhausting, but you know at the end of the day, it's not normally, it doesn't skew that way, right? So this means this person's going to be supportive. They're not going to be keeping score. They're not judgmental, even when they provide honest feedback. They want you to succeed and they don't care about who gets there first. They respect your boundaries. They're consistent. They're reliable. And you can feel like yourself when you're around them. You're not like putting on a face and having to act like somebody else because you're trying to like impress them. You can just honestly be your authentic self, because when you're like pretending to be someone else, it's exhausting and you're going to feel drained after you've spent time with them. So ask yourself, how do you feel after you've spent time with them?
I feel like I've been more in tune to that because I'm so busy lately. Like, I really want to spend time with people that fill my cup.
Of course.
You know, make me laugh, make me feel good. Like, I am trying to weed out the people that like bring my energy down or make me feel a certain way.
Yes.
I'm running on empty here,
I know.
guys. So
Yeah.
I really need people to like fill me up, add value to my life. And it doesn't have to be like monetarily fine, or any of those ways, but like really just like bring me joy.
Yeah. No, there's I teach a mastermind for women physicians. And last week we were talking about doing a friend audit. And I was like, hear me out, because it sounds mean, but go through the friend list that you have and ask yourself, like, does this friend bring me joy? Do they energize me or do they drain me? Because we all have those friends, and then sometimes it's family members that you see them on your calendar for some sort of event and you're just like, oh, like, I don't even want to go to this thing. She's going to be yapping about this, doesn't ever ask how I'm doing. It's all one-sided. You know, they have narcissistic tendencies. And I'm like, and those people, you know, you don't have to ghost them. You don't have to announce. I was like, you're not a train. You don't have to announce that you're leaving the station, but just quietly distance yourself from them, become less available. And sometimes it just happens naturally, because when you're so busy working on your career, your family, and the friends that do fill you up, you can honestly say to that person, like, hey, sorry, I don't have any time in my calendar to have happy hour with you.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I Marie Kondoed my friends
Not
too long ago. You know, you have that favorite section on your phone. And I used to have like a lot of like my close friends that I would talk to all the time. And the other day I was looking at my favorites and I'm like, I really need to update this list. Like, I don't talk to half of these people. So I was like, delete, not the contact, but delete from favorites, delete from favorites. And I updated it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's normal, because I do think sometimes there's friendships that you've had for a long time. But as you grow and your place in life changes, that friendship may not be what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And also, I have really good friends that if they called me and they needed something, I would drop everything in a heartbeat. But that doesn't mean that I talk to them on a daily or even weekly basis. Like, one of my best friends from medical school, she was at Lead Her Summit.
She was sitting right next
Michelle.
to me,
Oh, yeah,
the
Michelle.
pediatrician.
Yes, she's a pediatrician. I love her to death. I speak to her maybe once or twice a month, and it's usually via text, or if I see a funny meme, I'll send it to her, or, you know, she'll run into somebody and be like, guess who I just saw at the grocery store? And, you know, we'll have like that. But on a day-to-day basis, like, I don't really have anything to tell her. You know what I mean? I work, I take care of my kids. Like, I don't have anything to say. But if she called me and we're like, girl, this thing happened, I need you to come over, I need you to watch the kids, I'm dropping them off, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, I agree. I would say the majority of my closest friends are friends from either elementary, middle school, high school, or medical school.
Right.
I don't feel like I have a handful, but not a lot of what I call like adult friends, or friends that I've met in the last, 10 years. Why do you think it's so hard for adults to develop like meaningful friendships?
Well, you guys have like touched upon some of them already, but like one is like we only have so much time available. So like we have our families, we have our work, we have obligations, right? And then when we're younger, we have like shared experiences. It's all about like how much fun and about having fun with each other. That's all it is. But once you become older and an adult, we don't want those like surface level relationships. Instead, you're looking for like emotional depth. And we don't want to be vulnerable. And we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to open up to new people because of our past traumas that we've had with old friendships. So it makes it that much harder.
Yeah. We want depth, but we don't want to go deep.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we want depth, but you don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So you have to be intentional. You have to put yourself out there.
But then when we do that, we get
disappointed.
attacked.
Oh my God. I'm disappointed every time I put myself out there.
I know. And then you just stop. I mean, you can only bang your head so much against the wall before you're just like, I'm not trying anymore.
Although I have to say, we moved temporarily into a condo building while we were remodeling our house. We were there for like 2.5 years. And I have to say, I got so lucky. There were like 4 families in the building that had kids around my son's age. And the moms became like instant best friends. And the husbands would travel a lot. So there was a hurricane that came and all the husbands were out of town coincidentally. And all the moms like bunkered down. I mean, we built a sense of community in 2 years that was rare and like unseen. But I think overall it's very hard.
And that sounds special.
And I think it was also because we're living in the same building.
Of
Like, you know, we
course.
were exposed often to each other. So it made it a little easier to like accelerate that friendship process. But I do think overall as an adult, it's really hard.
It's really hard. I don't think I can count on one hand the amount of true girlfriends that I have made in the last 5 to 10 years. I have a lot of acquaintances and colleagues, and I spoke on a panel at a conference, and so me and the other speaker like kind of exchanged info and became friends. There's a lot of people that I like and I could reach out to, but I'm just that like deep, meaningful friendship.
Yeah.
Except actually, we should talk about us because we met and we got close.
We met like 5 years ago, probably?
Yeah, and
There
first
you
when
go.
we met, it was all over the phone and on texting. Like we didn't meet in person until we had already been talking.
I slid into Tiffany's DMs, guys,
Aw.
like a creep. I slid into her DMs when I was auditioning for The Real Housewives of Miami, and she had already done Dallas. And, she was a physician. I was like, how did this play out for you? Are you still practicing? 'Cause I didn't know her at all.
Sure.
And she was so sweet. She's like, oh my God, girl, call me. This is too much to type. And then we jumped
Yeah.
on the phone and it was like we hit it off. And
Yeah, we just hit it off and became close, and I was vulnerable with her and I told her things because I felt like we started on like an even playing field.
Yeah.
And we developed our friendship. So I guess you can make new adult friendships.
but we also went deep.
like immediately.
Immediately, like on the phone, we were like, are we gonna lose her medical licenses over this
Yeah,
show?
she was like, tell me
tell me for real, girl. Like,
yeah,
how
I
bad
was
is
like,
this?
no, I'm gonna give it to you real. I was like, I'm not gonna BS you. Like,
Yeah.
this is what you need to do. Be careful of this. Do this. And she was like, yeah. So I think we also have very similar personalities, and the fact that like we're both anesthesiologists, there was like a common bond that I felt like I could let my walls down with her that I don't normally.
Yeah.
If you guys don't follow Christy on social media, you guys have to follow her. She gives the best like commentary, insights. You know how we were talking about like how do you respond to this situation? I absolutely love those reels that you post. Can you tell everybody where to find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Christy_Ferrari.
And on that note, you guys, please go ahead and follow if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That way you guys don't miss an episode. And it also helps us to reach other amazing listeners like you guys. Christy, you recently posted something about the 4 types of friendships that we need to get rid of in 2025. And since it's the start of the year, why don't you let our listeners know what those friendships are?
So you want to get rid of, 1, the energy drainer. So is this a person where every time that you hang out with them, are you feeling emotionally drained or physically drained? Okay, you don't need that. So ask yourself, how do you feel after you've spent time with this person? If it's feeling drained or you're exhausted, I need a glass of wine just to like recover from that. You need to assess that relationship and ask yourself like, why? Okay. 1, if you can't be your authentic self, if you're putting on a mask so you can be someone else just because you're trying to impress them, then that's also going to be draining. So time to ask yourself, why do I feel the need to put on this mask? And what would happen if you didn't wear that mask? Is that person still going to like you? And if the answer is no, then maybe you need to also pull away from that relationship. Then you want to get rid of the user, Because if you stop providing what they wanted,
I have to get rid of a lot of people.
I know.
I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah.
My friend group's gonna get real small.
But it's true. And that's okay. They could still be acquaintances. They just don't need to be that close to us. They don't need to be one of those 5 best friends or even 10 to 15 meaningful friendships. They could just be an acquaintance.
Agreed.
Period. So you just want to see what you're giving. Because if you were to stop giving what you were giving, are they going to still be there for you? Because your relationship is transactional. So that's 2. 3, that's 3. Then the last one that you want to think about is the gossiper. Is the one that always gossip about other people or other kids, because how can you trust that they're not going to do about?
Oh, they for
Oh,
sure
they do,
are.
girl.
As soon as you get up from the table, they're going to talk about you.
And you know, like everybody has that friend that the moment you say hello, they're like, girl. And it's like, they just like let it rip. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure if I was to tell you something important about my life, you would be calling someone else being like, girl.
And sometimes I
Exactly.
think they want to hang out with you to find out what's going on in your life. And then when they retell it, the game of telephone goes, and there's always a little something that's not quite exactly how you said it, but they need to like sensationalize it and do, whatever. And they're just, I feel like they're little, I don't know.
I have sadly become like a vault in my
Yeah.
current age
Yeah.
because I just feel like everyone wants to talk about everyone, and I don't want to talk about anyone.
I think it's smart. Because at the end of the day, like 90% of people like really don't care what's going on, and 10% just secretly want to see you fail. So like you don't want to be gossiping about yourself when you're talking to someone else. So view it as you're gossiping about yourself.
That's an interesting way of viewing it. I've never thought of it like that.
Next time you tell someone something, be like, are you gossiping about yourself? Because now they're going to go take that and take it to someone else.
Yeah.
Unless you know that this is like a real, true best friend, that you know that they're going to keep it to them.
Yeah.
Super smart.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm gonna have to
Things
do some.
to ask yourself.
I'm gonna have to.
We're going to have to do some friend auditing.
inventory or friend auditing.
And it's okay to be friends with them, because at the end of the day, women are also like socialized to gossip. It's a way of bonding. And sometimes when they don't know what to say, they like to be vulnerable, but instead of sharing about themselves, they share about other people.
Oh.
So
That's a nice way to look at it. I hadn't
don't tell
thought
them
of that.
anything.
Me either.
Yeah. But yeah, I think honestly, look, if you have 5 friends that you can call them and they would drop anything to come to your aid or listen to you vent or offer advice, consider yourself very lucky. I mean, so many people don't even have that. So I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I have a solid, strong group of friends that we've had for many years. And if I was like broken down on the side of the road, they would come pick me up.
Correct.
Like I have a really good group of friends. So I'm very lucky in that sense. But there's definitely some on the outskirts that need a little like trimming. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question, Christy. We're running out of time, but I always bring this up. Do you think, because I'll give you my opinion, do you think it's a red flag if someone's in their 30s and 40s and doesn't have a like group of friends?
I don't think so at all.
Really?
And the reason why, well, you need to ask yourself, have they ever had friends? Because they could be in a transitionary period. Maybe they've been doing this friendship audit and they decided that those friends were not serving them anymore, or they naturally grew out of those friendships and they were ready for some supportive relationship. To be frank, this happened to me recently. This happened to me 2 years ago. I decided to do a friendship audit after I shared some good news. And that's one way of also learning who's really your friend, is to share good news. And if they're there, if they're supportive for you, or do they withhold all the praise and they don't support you? So are those friends only there for you when you're doing bad? They want you to be at their same place. But as you're growing, it's important to think about that. So there was a time where I was actively putting myself out there for like a good year and a half. And I went on many friend dates. Many friend dates. And let me tell you, I put myself out there because I was like, I told myself, the first thing I told myself was I deserve to have good girlfriends. And I put myself out there. And now I have 4 girlfriends that like genuinely, I know that they're supportive. Every time I'm with them, not once have they ever gossiped about anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I have PTSD from my last friend group because it was always about other people or them talking about the other person in the group, but out of concern. But
Right.
I'm
Not
like,
really
does this
concerned.
person
Right.
know that you're telling me this?
No.
So
Yeah.
once you learn these red flags, it makes it so much easier to be like, okay, Nix, you're not making the friend cut.
That's an interesting point because I've always like viewed someone who doesn't have a lot of friends as like, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you keep friendships? Are you like a little like a troublemaker? Or are you a gossip? Like, why do people keep dropping you?
Of course.
But maybe, like you said, maybe they're the ones that did a friendship audit and they realized that they weren't surrounded and they're looking for better quality friends. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my perspective on that.
I love that. I'm
going to do a little bit more of a,
so much perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
So it's a transitionary period. Now, if they've never had friends, then, but maybe they just wanted more in a friendship. They just wanted that list, that supportive friend. They want you to succeed and they don't care about who gets there first.
Yeah. Cultivate your friend list with people that feed you and give you joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but this has been an amazing hour for me. Like, I feel like I learned so much, and I'm definitely going to take a lot of these little tidbits and red flags, keep an eye out for them, and I'm going to do a friendship audit.
And next time I need to break up with someone, I'm going to text you so I say the words correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're not going to ghost people anymore.
No more ghosting.
We're going to have some templates that Christy's going to give us for how to
get these annoying text messages. I'm like, Christy, I got into a fight with my husband. How do I tell him to fuck off nicely?
Well, I will tell you that I do offer those services.
That's a whole nother episode, boo. We got to save the marriage episode. That we got a whole nother hour.
We're going to have to put like Christy on retainer.
Yes.
Come back every so often to do these episodes.
Exactly.
I'm currently building a comeback library of how to handle these difficult and awkward situations.
Oh, I love that.
So that you don't have to worry. You have like your on-call psychologist.
Yes, please.
I love that. Good for you.
Please let us know when that's available for download.
Definitely.
Well, you guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Scrubs and Stilettos with me, Dr. Nicole Martin.
Me, Dr. Tiffany Moon.
And me, Christy, Dr. C.
All right, guys, make sure you hit the follow button and make sure you check us out on Instagram and follow Christy as well.
We'll see you next week.